Hello and welcome to part 2 of my Total War tutorial. This episode will be focusing on basic unit matchups, the triangle of unit interactions that will form the basis of your understanding of how units interact and fight one another. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. Here is our first matchup between Swordsman and Spearman. Swordsmen are a generalist melee infantry unit, and Spearmen are a specialist melee infantry unit. Spearmen are more designed for taking on large units. The general term for them in Total War is anti-large units. Spearmen are generally more of a defensive option, and swordsmen are generally more of an aggressive option. And this matchup, we'll be seeing how they get on against each other. I will be rapidly spinning through this as this fight takes a little while, as the units are fairly evenly matched. The swordsman you'd expect to win in most cases. Now, the only thing that would have possibly made a difference would be having the spearman stand still to receive the charge. However, I want you to just see for now how they fight against each other. The first matchup, remember, is that infantry designed to beat other infantry will generally be infantry designed to fight things that are bigger than them. And with that, as you can see, momentarily, the swordsman will cause the spearman to rout and break. On the previous guide, I may have mentioned the morale bar. What you saw there was the morale being reduced and the unit running away. Now, we have spearmen fighting against cavalry. Spearmen are designed to fight large creatures. Now, specifically, they're designed to stand still and fight them. So here we have a unit of cavalry attacking a unit of spearmen front on. Don't worry about any other fighters for now, let's just see how a unit of spearmen handles an attack from some cavalry. So in they go, and on impact, the cavalry generally has a bit of impact and a bit of movement, but they've held pretty well. So now there's going to be a lot of back and forth, and again, it's going to take a while. But overall, despite the fact that they will still take quite heavy cavalry, casualties even, the spearmen will be driven back. Now, the other thing to note is that these cavalry cost more than double the cost of that unit of spearmen. So in terms of value, you'll notice that the spearmen are winning slowly but surely. This is what they're designed to fight. So if it's one lesson you take away from what I'm saying today, when using cavalry, do not charge them in a frontal manner onto spearmen. It will end badly for you. And as you can see once again, their morale is depleted, and before the unit is entirely wiped out, their banner starts flashing, and they're going to run away in a mere moment's time. So, what have we got so far? Swordsman beat spearmen in a frontal fight. Spearmen, if prepared, beat cavalry. So now, what happens if those spearmen have to fight archers? So archers aren't good in close combat, but what they are good at is putting damage from a distance. And spearmen, their weapons need to be held with two hands, generally speaking, which means they don't have room for a shield. Shields block arrows. So as you can see here, these archers are capable of taking out these spearmen. They're going to put several volleys into them, and as these volleys go through, you'll see them inflicting quite heavy damage, and you can see rapidly how it's starting to reduce the morale. And it's going down, it's going down. So they may not always be able to get enough to break them, but at the very least you'll notice they're inflicting heavy casualties on this unit, which is really pushing the battle in their favour. And as they get closer, and maybe they'll just get one more volley off. They're not quite broken yet, but they're nearly. So now, as a final step, I'll order those archers to charge in at the last second. And if this is all gone according to plan, that unit of spearmen should break and run away. As you can see, their morale's almost gone, and they've broken. Archers, controlled correctly, can beat spearmen in a frontal fight. Now, swordsmen. We've demonstrated that swordsmen can beat a unit of spearmen. The question is now, can they beat a unit of archers? Now, the main advantage and difference between them, as well as swordsmen being better at fighting infantry, is that they have a shield. Which in this case means that those archers are still going to be able to get a couple of volleys off, as you can see from this. Once they move into range, that is. But you'll notice that it does a lot less damage to these swordsmen. They're still going to take casualties on the way in, And the only real way to counter this, which we'll be coming to shortly, is to be fast enough. So the faster you can get in there, the less damage those archers will do. But as you can see, they've taken roughly they've had identical matchups, but they're in, and now very swiftly they're going to cause those archers to have a very bad day. Because again, you may notice slightly high-pitched noises coming up at this point. An attempt to make you not have to watch the entire battle, we're moving up, which means we get a lovely soundtrack in the background here. But as you can see, the swordsmen are clearly tearing through these archers. This is an effort to point out the different matchups in Total War and between units. These are using the most basic ones, but it's trying to lay out a pyramid of sorts. That pyramid has only got 1 point left, so at the moment we know that cavalry is beaten by prepared spears. And we know that spears are beaten by archers, leaving only the last point in it, that cavalry will be archers. So, as you can see, once more, the archers are preparing to get a volley off. And a couple of hits. Again, the cavalry don't necessarily have shields, but long before they're going to even probably be able to get a second full volley off, we're going to have those cavalry make contact. There we go. And like that. And that's all over. And the particularly worst thing here is, now that those cavalry are on top of those archers are done. So, those are your basic matchups to remember. Spears beat cavalry. Cavalry are basically just swordsmen on horses, and they absolutely decimate archers. But because they're larger, spearmen beat them. And finally, archers, with their good long-range damage, can beat spearmen.